central bank digital currencies are coming, along with many stable coin projects tied up to traditional assets. But what did I tell you about the demand for a neutral bridge asset? If you remember that, then following these information in this episode would be really easy for you, and to digest those, it would be really easy. But as we move on, you will have to stay focused at each of the information presented. Partnerships and growth of corridors are happening around us. As we speak, it is being implemented. And majority of the investors states that they will not sell XRP until it reaches 10 USD. But I personally doubt that. As we reach the all-time highs, let's see how things evolve. Now, yes, let's check what the price actually is doing and analyze the information which I have for you guys. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. If you saw value for your time, please do support the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. If you would like to extend your support, you can use the PayPal, Patreon or the XRP wallet address given in the description below. We'll go through these videos and we'll play them, which is the important part of this discussion today, and then we'll analyze other information which are related to this. Now you compare all of them together, you kind of get to see the big giant holistic picture. Looking at the market, it's a bit of green here and there, and that's not huge positive news, but it's still not a bad thing. When we look at the XRP price, just the yesterday's push to the upside, don't get extra excited about that, because if you look at the price on a shorter time frame, say this is a 2-hour chart of XRP, and this will be what you can see in that one. Say here we were trending to the upside, but we broke below that. Then we were trading in that range until this particular point when we broke below that again. Now we came back, retested that area of support resistance, and then we are being rejected. So that's not actually good news on a shorter time frame to be excited. But the same if you look at on a longer time frame, this is something what you can be excited about, because we've been following this particular pattern of rounded bottom, which is bottoming out and moving to the upside from March of this year, putting in higher highs and higher lows. And this particular area, we've been drawn this line way before this happened, and the price is still following that. If you go back to the videos in this channel from August, you'll understand that we already had this line here. We were expecting the price may come back below this area, and now it is clearly supporting that particular support resistance trend line. So that's not actually a small news. If you can understand what the market is going to do, at least to 70 to 80% with the probability, that's kind of a cool news. Now, when we look at global stable coins, central bank digital currencies and other stuff, you really have to understand it's not like it will come after 10 years. It's like it is here.
Global stable coins, I think a global stable coin is one which essentially is viewed as having extensive reach within and across borders. So it's one that has a potential global and significant cross-border reach. But that would be how I would define it, Selena. Thank you.
With that being said about a global stable coin, the perspective of a global stable coin, central bank digital currencies, stable coin in general is there. We can see that will happen, but David Josh thinks it's not gonna happen at least soon, at least for that global stable coin perspective. And even if all of these are coming true, say the central bank digital currencies, tokenized assets, stable coins and all, he really thinks there is room for a neutral jurisdictionless asset, a neutral asset which can bridge each and every value from different forms of this technology. And that is not actually a small thing. We talked about the same here for a long time, right? And that really is happening. If you want to go to the background of this information, you can check the trailing chat in that and the background for that. Now, jumping into the tweet from the Bank of International Settlements, we kind of get to see this. They are highlighting central bank digital currencies as first tag, and the second one is cross-border payments. Now, if you read that, what you will understand is they are talking about partnerships. Okay, now let's read what they have written. For central banks and international community, the real challenge of central bank digital currencies is to ensure they operate efficiently and securely across borders, meaning collaboration among all parties is essential. So they are not ruling out collaboration. Now, when we look at Ripple, the company, it's expanding. Now, the partnerships are increasing, like, it's coming out from everywhere. They are expanding to different region. Corridors which they have set is kind of increasing in volume. It's being adopted. Use case is increasing and all. Now, when we say all of that, we need to understand it's not just like other competitors who are trying to come up with something, because Ripple, the company, has an established reputation with its own DLT technology, the permissionless technology and other stuffs. So first I'll play this video in which Brad is talking, and then I'll actually take you guys to another video in which the IMF guy is sharing his view, and then turning it to another candidate there who will explain why it is necessary to understand this thing. Even though the tag is for Stellar and XLM, you'll actually understand what David Shaws is highlighting here.
Us in a very, very positive way. In some way, it's made our jobs harder. At the core, a big part of what Ripple does is, we sell financial technology. We sell that underlying kind of plumbing to financial institutions, banks, payment providers. And, that certainly, we continue to sign up a lot of new customers, and still averaging kind of, about 2 a week, which is great. But, that is a little bit slower than we were at the beginning of the year in January. And, that is a lot because you can't show up to the Bank of Chris and the Bank of, FinTech Week or whatever we want to call it. That makes the sales process a little higher friction. Now, on the other hand, the dynamics of the pandemic have highlighted some of the huge gaps in our financial infrastructure. From moving from cash to digital, and I think it highlights how some of the unbanked and underbanked have been left behind by what's happening globally. And so that, coupled with massive inflation of fiat currencies, that's really good for the crypto industry at large. It's not at all a surprise to me to see that the broader crypto market overall, according to the sources I think you and I both looked at, it's up somewhere around 90% this year. And I'm pretty bullish about what the next year or 2 or 3 looks like for the crypto market at large. And it's largely because when you print as much fiat stimulus, fiat currencies as we're seeing globally, that will lead to inflation. It does devalue those fiat currencies. And so I think you obviously gold doing very well, you see crypto doing very well, and I think that'll continue to be the case.
Now, if we just break down that 1 minute 40 seconds, what you'll understand is, at the beginning, he started informing us that we are doing great as a company. We still sign up 2 companies a week, which is a bit slower than what it was happening earlier this year. So that means the average, say at least till the first half of this year, was more than 2, say 3. So even if you assume in that manner and check the rate for a year, it's more than 100 customers a year. So looking at the traction which Ripple, the company, is gaining in banking and financial sector, that means a lot. Why? Because along with that, he also highlights the unbanked, meaning financial inclusion perspective. You need to reach out at each different corner of the globe. So cross-border payments, again, mainly it would be remittance market, which they are concentrating on, providing new corridor, expanding their partners' abilities to reach more customers. So that is a key point there. And then he runs into inflation, devaluation of fiat currencies, at the same time appreciation of prices of gold, silver or crypto. So those are the safe haven assets which a common man can look at. And if you still doesn't understand the fiat currencies do get a bit of financial education. And if you are financially educated, you already understood what he stated. Now, at the same time, he also informed us that we are creating these partnerships, and with that, the plumbing of the financial structure is being created. Now, what does that mean? Meaning the underlying infrastructure is being created. So that's from Brad Garlinghouse, right? Now let's actually hear what it has to kind of say in the IMF's position.
Works.
Two things that I think are really important. The discussion that was just had a few moments ago about not likening this to the internet and being careful of permissionless networks, we have to remember that you're comparing this to Libra, which is a very different thing than what we're trying to focus on. Permissionless networks are the infrastructure layer that allows entities to build on top of them and to innovate and to create awesome ideas and to create products that are going to solve these problems that folks have all over the world. And they're going to solve financial inclusion because you can do it on your phone. You can make it so that people don't have to have bank accounts, and you can do it in 3 to 5 seconds. The comparison with the internet is that infrastructure layer, that technology layer. The notion that the AML and all of the different regulations need to apply here is absolutely agreed upon. And those financial institutions that touch fiat on the edges are the ones that are regulated by all of the different geographies. So we cannot forget that that is the important piece of this. That is what creates the interoperability. That is what makes it so that this all works seamlessly. That is what makes it so that I could send Renee a payment to Germany and to do that in 3 to 5 seconds, and to still use the existing financial infrastructure, but to use these new rails which make it faster, seamless, and usable for the developers and the end users. So that's just an important point I want everyone to know. Governments are exceptionally good at regulating fiat. We still want them to. Thank you.
Now, that was mind-blowing, right? If you are an XRP investor and you have spent a lot of time researching about the asset and what Ripple the company is doing, now compare with whatever she has stated here. Say some of the important key points or the key words which you can understand is, if you come from the back, it's like interoperability has to be there. The payments are executed in 3 to 5 seconds. Okay, cool. And then they are looking at permissionless technology. Okay, it's not something like Libra. Okay, cool. And they are providing the infrastructure for the new global financial system. Wow. If you understood each of that point, it should really be wow. Why? Now, while you state that, you also have to understand she stated different regions, different requirements and all. So if you're looking peer-to-peer payments, yes, Stellar XLM is going to play a role. If you're looking at bank-to-bank financial institutions, business-to-business type of payments, you're going to see a Ripple doing a lot. So in that aspect, you can understand the would-be networks, which will be, directly or indirectly playing a role in this new infrastructure of financial system. So the cross-border payments is really getting attention. Now this one which we used now is from IMF, right? They've been conducting that, and the tweet which we highlighted was from Bank of International Settlement. So it's kind of central bank of central banks, and they are also highlighting the same requirement there. Now if you jump into the aspect from the regulators, then you'll get a bit more perspective about all of what they have actually informed us. Now you understood that Brad Garlinghouse stating clearly that they are creating that plumbing, the infrastructure in the background, connecting a lot more financial institutions into these networks. And then this from IMF, you got it clearly that interoperability, execution of settlement of payment in 3 to 5 seconds, preparing that permission, using that permissionless technology DLT into infrastructure of new financial system for different use cases. Why? Because you are looking at that financial inclusion as well. And now if you listen to this regulator, Brian Brooks, you'll get all those points automatically connected. It's not like I'm coming inside your mind and playing with the key points. It's just I'm giving you information, right? You'll have to take a decision. Now, along with that, after playing that, we'll go through other articles and show you why these points are really important to digest properly. Okay, so let's first jump into this one.
In the meantime, corporate America is not waiting for that. So we've all read a lot about Facebook's Libra project with its various ups and downs. We've read less about other stablecoin projects like the Circle partnership for USDC or the Gemini coin or the Paxos coin. But if you look, Chris, over the last month or two, and you just look at the growth trajectory of these stablecoin projects, these have been doubling in market capitalization roughly every 60 days for the last 6 months. That's an incredible hockey stick asymptotic rate of growth, which tells us the market wants these things and the market will have these things. So we can try to push back as long as we can, kind of like the taxi cab commissions did with Uber, and we saw how that ended. Or we can embrace it and say, look, the good parts of this are very, very good. And we need to come out now and get in front of it by saying, we're okay with these projects as long as they meet these parameters, and only outside the parameters are going to have problems. We need to be clearer about that if we want to be competitive as a country and if we want to avoid bad outcomes as markets move in the direction they're going to choose.
Now, to be clear, the point which he stated at the end was like, these has to be with the regulations, right? Following the regulations, abiding the rules. And what did you hear from the IMF? The talk from IMF highlights that yes, all of these regulated institutions at the end points are completely regulated, say AML or whatever they want, like the anti-money laundering or know your customer and other stuffs. This is really happening in the background. So they can't actually deny that financial institutions which are at the endpoints are completely regulated, right? They can't, there is no requirement for them directly jump into the technology and regulate it. Anyway, then the other points which Brian highlighted in that one is like the market, if the market needs these things, they will get to that. So they understand that the market likes it. Why? There's a lot of money flowing into these kind of technology because the market and investors are at least a bit more smarter than these regulators. I'm not just talking about Brian, I'm talking about the entire regulator groups in US who know that XRP is there from around 2,300 days and they still don't know what it is. Whether it's a security, whether it's a commodity, they don't know, right? So in that aspect, you still need some smart people in that regulator board. Now, if you go through that, he also stated that the growth pattern is like parabolic, a hockey stick effect in the growth. So that's not a small thing. Hockey stick effect in the growth, a parabolic one. Why? Because the markets need this and they will reach to that one. Now, along with all of those information we just conveyed, now look at these. Huge bank from Vietnam joins RippleNet. Why? Because they understand the cross-border payments are changing and if they want to remain competitive, they need that fintech partnerships, that infrastructure on which they can use it as a level playing field to compete, right? Now, Ripple and its South Korean on-demand liquidity corridor have transferred more than 88 million XRP. While Ripple's ODL partner in Europe was also involved. Now, Michael sent me that one and that really looks interesting because one corridor, it's increasing and another corridor, it's tied up with this. So automatically when we talk about the interoperability layer, it gets interesting. And I kind of showed you guys that I have a doubt, like say when majorities of like 72% states that they look forward to $100 XRP, it's kind of okay, maybe 10 years, 20 years, we don't know. Or in this market cycle, end of market cycle, we have to see. But when you see 82% of individuals stating that they won't jump out of this asset until it reaches $10, yeah, if it happens, that's actually good stuff. But the issue there is, I don't think so. Because human beings, money, psychology, emotion, everything is tied up. And now your account is in red. The profits are not there, you are in loss, and when it turns green, when the price starts going above your average, say 0.2, 0.3, 0.5, and then you'll really have to control your emotions. Say the price reaches $1 and your average is 0.2, so you are already 5x your money. Then if it reaches around $3.5, $3.8, the last all-time highs, you're huge way in profit. So if a dip happens at that stage, say 50%, 40% correction, which is always present in a bull market, the emotions will be kind of pulling you from one end. In 1 year, it will say, okay, take out the profit. And the other guy in the other year will say, no, don't do that. Do this for the long term, not for the short term. So that kind of fight will always be there. You will have to control the devil inside you. Otherwise, the investor inside you will actually suffer the consequences. Now, Michael sent me this one, and it highlights that Bitstamp adds crypto crime insurance for assets held online. Because, if you are going to an exchange to buy an asset, move that into a ledger as soon as possible and move away, they don't actually want that. They would like to be the new banks of new financial system. So that's why majority of our institutions are offering interest rate. Like, put it here, we are going to give you interest. Your assets will work for you, right? And the others are kind of bringing in more kind of products for the customers so that they feel comfortable to put their assets in that exchange. Now we are seeing hacks, exchanges going bankrupt. If you look, 75 exchanges went off from this race. So that's not actually a small number to look at. Now, when we detailedly talk about, Bank of International Settlement highlighting cross-border payments, IMF talking about cross-border payments and all, this is a deep dive showing accelerating cross-border payments with cloud technology. Now, RippleNet Cloud, a document which I shared previously with you guys, if you watch that video, you would clearly understand that Ripple highlights this is the future of banking. If you remember that, you would be concreted in your investment in Ripple and XRP. Now, when they look at intrinsic challenges, you can see peer-to-peer payment and a lot more in that aspect. And you can see that, yes, there are Stellar, XLM and other stuff which can try to cover up that market. And it's not only about that, because up to 5% of all cross-border B2B payments are subjected to additional inquiries, investigations beyond basic levels, blah, blah, blah. Because if you have more information, rich data, then these kind of additional intervention into those payments are not necessary. So you have B2B payment, you have P2P payment, you have B2C payment. So when you look at Ripple, the company, and the product or suite of products which they offer, it's mostly from B, right? Business to person, business to business, business to customer. So that kind of area is where you have to understand. See, even if you are sending P2P, somehow it will end up in a B2C, B2B area. So if you understand the global financial system, you should be looking at the giant market. Why? Because approximately 60% of all cross-border transactions, which, process 77 trillion in cross-borders. That's not actually a small amount just for 1 year, 77 trillion. Now you look at the market cap of crypto, or at least those assets like XRP, XLM, XDC, Quant, and then say the market cap of these would be so high if they move to $10, $100 and all. Because you are not going to use Bitcoin for cross-border payments. Why the hell would you use that technology which eats a hell lot of energy and needs more time? It's not scalable. There's a hell lot of things. If you're considering it as a store of value, that is a different aspect. Now I understand. So if you consider this, it is actually increasing. The amount moving into cross-border is increasing. So if just 1 year Swift processed this, and Swift has an error rate, processing slowly, the fee and all, they will at least move into the new financial system. Say from that, even if you consider 50% moving in next 3 years into these new technologies, it's going to be huge. The market cap should be so high. And that is where the statement from Brad Garlinghouse about a utility pushing the price of an asset to the upside in long run comes into play. If you understand that, it is going to be supportive for you as an investor. Why? because you are going to see central banks coming out stating clearly that yes, our concentration is changing. As we just understood, different organizations are coming in using this technology to solve their businesses, provide their customers better solution and make more profit. So they are in profit, Ripple is in profit. As they will move into regulatory clarity side of this, they're gonna use that asset. Now when they talk in detail about this, if you go, you'll understand they kind of have that issue which I talked to you about, the high margin of error, and they don't actually want that slow payment with that huge error rate. And that is why the argument which I plotted here about 77 trillion from SWIFT in a 1 year, it's going to move into new financial system. Now if you agree with me on that or not, if you are an investor here who believe at cryptography, this technology, you should be looking at all of these articles. I'll actually put all of these articles in the link below. If you would like to read through that, you are going to get more power. Now, I'm showing this article and saying, this article kind of came out yesterday and it was showing like, brace yourself, Bitcoin is going to go down. And what did you actually see? The crypto assets kind of went at least a little bit, slightly to the upside. So you always have to validate what news you are getting, from where you are getting, and is it really the truth? You'll have to cross compare every different information. And that's why the scientific investor is here to provide you with the valuable data and information which you need to educate yourself and take that calculated guess as an investor. So I hope you guys received value for your time, and if you did, please do support the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. If you would like to extend your support, you can use the PayPal, Patreon or the XRP wallet address given in the description below. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.